Welcome to Fantasy Smack Talk. I'm Dustin. Luckily, we still have power in our studio right now. Getting through this hurricane right outside of DC, so hopefully we can get this video in. Before I get into the must-adds in all leagues, one piece of advice. One thing I see a lot of fantasy football owners do that just is really a big mistake is wasting their bench on guys that are never going to make it into your starting lineup. If you have guys that are through the bye weeks, there's no sense of carrying a QB2 in a 10-team league or a tight end 2 if your tight end's already through a bye and there's no way you're ever going to start the other guy over your current tight end. If you have an injury at those positions, there's always guys you can go to on the waiver wire to fix that. Or 2 kickers. Don't ever carry 2 kickers. Fill your bench with as much upside as possible for guys that might actually make your starting lineup. One of those guys being this first guy I want to talk about, Daryl Richardson. Only on 40% of leagues. If you've been watching these shows, you know I've been talking about him a ton. Steven Jackson is the biggest name getting thrown around in trade rumors right now. They extended the trade deadline until Thursday, so we'll know sometime this week whether Daryl Richardson's value just goes through the roof. But if Steven Jackson gets traded, Richardson's value is going to be huge, and it makes perfect sense for a team like the Packers. Give up a third-round pick, gives them a better chance this year, gives the Rams what they need, and they're giving up a guy that isn't going to re-sign with them next year anyway, so it's a win-win in my opinion. I think it's going to happen. I see Steven Jackson getting moved. Daryl Richardson, must-add in all leagues. Another must-add running back, Jonathan Dwyer. He's only on 45% of leagues. It's going to be a mess once Mendenhall comes back probably. Might turn into a nasty timeshare, but the Steelers kind of have always been kind of a one-back system, so there's a chance Dwyer ends up winning that job, and Mendenhall just has kind of a complimentary role out there. But until this gets figured out, I think Dwyer's worth an add. He's looked great the last 2 weeks. A couple of receivers that I think are must-adds. First one, Danny Amendola, only on 60% of leagues. They have a bye week 9 and they play the 49ers week 10, so he's not going to offer you much instant value, but I do think he probably will come back after their bye. And if he can do anything like he was doing before he got hurt, he's going to be a nice add for you. And then another receiver that I think is a must-add is Titus Young. The Burleson injury I didn't think would have a huge impact on Young, but he's played great ever since he went down. And we really loved him coming into the year just because of all the attention that Calvin Johnson gets. And I think Titus Young at this point is a must-add in all leagues. I think he will continue to have big numbers from here on out. Let's talk about some people to add in deeper leagues. Let's start with the Colts running back situation. I think Donald Brown and Vic Ballard are both worth adds in deeper leagues. Brown's only on the 60% of leagues, Ballard at 40%. We just got to see how this shakes out. More than likely, it will be some sort of nasty timeshare, but both these guys have been playing good enough, I think, as far as just guys that can do it if they're given the touches. We'll see how the touches get distributed, but I think they're worth an add. Stash them on your bench and just see what happens. Another must-add in deeper leagues that I think is Ryan Broyles for Detroit, another receiver. He was a rookie that Detroit drafted. They got some criticism as far as drafting another receiver. They're really deep at that position, but they felt that his value was just too high to pass on him. They got him in the second round because he was coming off of a knee injury. They said he would have been drafted a lot higher if he didn't have the injury. So he's healthy now. He's playing at a high level in the NFL. He's looked pretty solid. And again, Calvin Johnson gets all the attention out there, so he could have some decent value. Look for him to be very inconsistent, but he should have some more big games. So that's it for deeper leagues. Let's talk about some pick up and play players. If you're looking for a tight end, if you got one of the Patriots tight ends, or your tight ends you're just not happy with, I would really like Greg Olsen week 9. This one's for you, Brent. He's going up against the Redskins, who is terrible against stopping, pretty much anything through the air, but they are terrible at the tight end position as well. Olsen's only on 60% of leagues. I think he could have a big week 9. Pick up and play quarterback for you if you got Tom Brady or you're just looking for an upgrade at quarterback. I like Weeden week 9. It's against Baltimore, which is normally somewhat of a scary play, but they're just not the same defense with Ray Lewis and Webb out. They've been giving up a ton of points, a ton of yards. I like Weeden as a week 9 pick up and play. A couple of defenses for you. I like Detroit. They're only on 15% of leagues. They looked better as of late. They got a matchup against Jacksonville. Worst offense in the league, less than 15 points a game. They should have some success against them. And then I also like San Diego going up against the Chiefs. Quarterback situation out there for Kansas City is awful. San Diego's D hasn't looked that bad. And they're only owned in 30% of leagues right now. So there's a couple of pick up and play defenses for you that I don't mind. talk about a couple of people. One person to keep an eye on. We got to talk about Nick Foles for the quarterback situation out there in Philly. Michael Vick. What a disappointment this year. You know, at this point, he really might not be the best guy as far as giving them the best chance to win. There's been a lot of pressure on Reed, I feel, to maybe make the swap. So it could be coming. I wouldn't necessarily go crazy over this, but if you're in any type of keeper league, a deep keeper league where you get to keep a lot of players, you might want to go ahead and pull the trigger on them. But it's definitely a situation worth monitoring moving forward. Now, this is just a portion of the list. To see the full list, get onto the website. And as always, if you got any questions, post them in the forums. We'll see you later this week.